We are trying to enhance the fan experience here at Warner Park. We're trying to position ourselves so that we can receive or host night cricket, whether it's regional or international. We're also trying to enhance cricket at the local level here, whether it's at the high school, primary school, and even from the club standpoint.
The Warner Park Cricket Stadium is the premier sporting facility in St. Kitts and Nevis, catering to tennis, netball, football and cricket. A massive redevelopment project in 2004 transformed Warner Park to host international cricket and football matches. That project was inspired by the ICC Cricket World Cup 2007, where St. Kitts and Nevis successfully played host to Australia, South Africa, Scotland and the Netherlands. Since then, the nature of cricket has changed.
It is a move that is set to revolutionize Test cricket. The International Cricket Council has approved day-night Test matches, an idea that was floated for quite some time now to draw the crowds to the classical format. About the day-night Test, the ICC said, and I quote, "Participating countries may agree to play day-night Test matches. The home and visiting boards will decide on the hours of play, which will be 6 hours of scheduled play per day, while the two boards will also decide on the precise brand, type and colour of ball to be used for the match." Unquote.
The West Indies Cricket Board has embraced this concept and is making plans to host the first of these matches in the first quarter of 2014. Additionally, the 2020 format of the game also became increasingly popular, and with it came the added frequency of night matches. It all climaxed in July 2013 when the West Indies Cricket Board introduced the Caribbean Premier League, or CPL. Matches were held in Antigua, Barbados, Guyana, Jamaica, St. Lucia and Trinidad.
There are some persons here who are very interested in having their own CPL franchise.
The Honourable Glenn Phillip is the Minister responsible for sports.
I know there are 2 franchises that will be given out, and we are hoping that we could be one.
In order to capitalize on the newest form of the game, the federal government made the decision to further invest in the Warner Park Stadium. The Right Honourable Dr. Denzil Douglas is the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis.
I want to use this opportunity to commend Minister Phillip for his foresight, his vision, for convincing his cabinet colleagues that this was the right time to make this investment, to further upgrade the facility in order to ensure that we would hold our competitive place and possibly have the competitive edge on others within the Caribbean region.
Let me just give you a quick synopsis of what is happening here. Of course, you see the jumbotron that is 44 by 22 feet. We also have 4 screens that are 8 by 4 placed strategically around the ground. We also have made an investment on a generator that will, I think it's 800 kilowatts. The park now will equip with its own generator. And besides, you don't want to have an embarrassment having an international game and something happen in terms of the electricity. Play must go on regardless of what.
The most significant feature of the project, however, was lighting to allow for night matches to be played. Bids were invited from qualified companies.
We would have had a number of first intakes from Philips. You would have also had bids from Moscow, and you would have also had bids from General Electric and also Qualite Lighting Group. In the end, Prabha International, the folks who won the bid with their demonstration and what they put forward, would have outbid almost all of the other folks who I've just mentioned. The Ministry of Sports in sitting down with Prabha International, we sort of framework what we wanted for Warner Park, to the point that St. Kitts and Nevis is competing against 9 other Caribbean venues. And outside of the Caribbean venues now, we are also joined by more competition in the United States of America, also in Bermuda. So you realize now that in any thought term, you have to be able to now be way better than what you have in the Caribbean, and also way better than what they have in Miami and what they have in Bermuda. And so the folks for Praba International, they offered us a lot more scope. We were able to dialogue, say, can we get this? And then say, yes, okay, we can try this, and we do that.
We have far exceeded the lighting standard. The lighting standard that they have around is about 23 to 2700 lux. That is the ICC standard. What we have done here, we have taken that even further with a futuristic view in mind. So it's going to be at least 35 to 3700 lux in terms of the light intensity. This whole upgrade was done specifically for St. Kitts. There's no other venue around here in the Caribbean that would have these characteristics.
We're talking about a jumbotron 44 by 22. There are only 5 made in the world. St. Kitts and Nevis has 1. There are 3 in India, 1 in Australia, 1 in St. Kitts and Nevis. But to complement it, the 8-pole design is a pretty unique situation that you will scarcely see on a cricket field anywhere around the world. And because of that, that is why it is so special. If you look at most international grounds, they are single-pole designs. So the 8-pole design in St. Kitts and Nevis fitted into the Warner Park area simply because of its size, and it also gave it a demographic view in terms of what the folks wanted to do, because it's now complement with the LCD screens, which are now 8 by 6. Talking about even the poles up there, they were like 30 feet down by 20 feet wide. You're talking about 500 PSIs of concrete from Contec. They were one of the local contractors who did that sort of project. So they did everything in Warner Park in terms of the concrete structure laying there. So you understand the magnitude. You just don't turn up and you go to a factory and say, well, we want lights. Even the poles had to be designed for here. You're talking about 115 feet above plane level. Those were made in the States. They had to be tested by the United States folks before they even entered into the Caribbean. The generator and the transformer were made in Mexico, specifically for here, custom made. They weren't just sitting down here. They had to be able to complement in terms of the engineering aspect of what was put together by Praba International.
Officials from Praba International came to St. Kitts to supervise the project, but much of the work was done by local contractors.
I can remember the first time when we met with Praba International. Their thought process was, we're going to bring in our own people. And I could remember the Minister of Sports, Honorable Glenn Phillips, saying, no, I think we have the capabilities here. And they were asking, you sure? I said, yeah, in almost every aspect. Sure, in St. Kitts and Nevis could be able to find somebody.
Dozens of contractors were engaged, each having a specific task to perform. They worked side by side, and eventually a sense of ownership of the project developed.
Everybody came together, and you could see the confidence growing because of what these people wanted. And take into consideration, you would know that Praba International, the groups that they would have had, the folks from Ardent Lighting, they would have been doing this for like well over 20 years. This is just like their job. So to come here and like tell a crane man, well, listen, just boom out lift. People are kind of cautious, they're scared, they've never done this sort of work before. But it was a learning experience, and everybody, IMB, you name it, all of the folks, it was a new experience for them. They look forward in learning, they were taking notes, and I think there's a sense of honor that, boy, I worked on the lighting project in Warner Park. Almost everybody, when they completed their task, you could see glees or smiles on their face as if like, wow, we got it done. And that to me is empowerment. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis being able to empower local contractors.
We have created a matter of fact employment for a number of persons, whether in the trucking business, the heavy equipment business, and so we have seen a definite enhancement of the labor and skills of our local persons. Because, for example, our generator is fully digital. The jumbotron it has at least 14 trillion lights. It's basically a new technology that had been released about 3 years ago. There's 2 trillion different colors that are associated with the jumbotron, and definitely persons will need training. We had started the first batch of training about 2 months ago, done by the persons and the company that installed the jumbotron. We will have training for the generator, and we want to use persons both in the private sector and the public sector.
We've had no less than 40 applicants coming forward for training. That is the kind of thing we are talking about. Whereas there was only one person I understand before who was fully trained in this area. We now have a number of 40 young people coming forward to be able to acquire the knowledge and skill set that they would not only use here, and not only here for this particular scoreboard system for cricket, but which they can apply, I'm sure, to other systems, other sports around the world. So this is critically important. It is, again, an investment in the human resource, building the human capital, investing in the human capital, which is what is going to be critically important in ensuring that competitively we succeed.
The Lighting project is not just limited to the cricket field.
We're one of the few grounds in the West Indies that the practice facility is on the same compound as the venue itself, which is another attraction. But in terms of enhancement, we're looking from the sports department, we're looking at creating what we call an after-school program. And if we are going into that direction, then certainly we need lights in terms of cricket for our local athletes in this primary school, the secondary schools, and even from the club team to be able to come here. When persons finish work, they can now practice. They can now practice their craft here at the Warner Park Stadium.
Here is it that you're going to have a world-class facility, the best in the Western Hemisphere, but you would still have to come in the day to practice, to come back in the night. Now, this complements what is happening. So while an actual game is going on at the Warner Park Stadium, two other teams could be practicing in the night under the same sort of conditions. At all of the other venues, all of the teams have to practice in the day and then play in the night. So straight away you realize again that you're way ahead of the pack. So it's now a time for us now to be able to not reinvent the wheel, but to be able to take the academy now to a next level, which we feel will be able to complement not only the lighting of the Warner Park Test venue, but also have touring teams come here and practice outside of what's happening in terms of cricket. We already had teams from England. There's already interest from Australia.
I will not be satisfied until every summer or during these times that we have teams coming from the colder areas to come to use our facilities.
The airlift into St. Kitts and Nevis is also a bonus for sports teams wishing to utilize the venues on island. With direct flights from the United Kingdom twice weekly, regular flights from various U.S. markets including Miami and New York, and a daily service from Liat, it is now easier to get here. Additionally, the hotel stock has grown and continues to grow with a number of multi-million-dollar projects opening their doors, while others are just starting construction. This has generated quite a bit of attention for the Twin Island Federation.
St. Kitts and Nevis is really emerging as a reliable, competitive country that is pursuing aggressively the attainment in certain spheres of activities that we've not seen before.
And St. Kitts and Nevis has placed itself now on the international cricket map to a point now where ICC is saying, wait a minute, let's find out what's happening here in St. Kitts and Nevis. You have a Leonard's Cricket Academy that folks can practice in the night. You have a facility that is way above what we have set in terms of our standards. We have 2,400 lux of lights. These people in St. Kitts and Nevis are 3,600 lux of lights. Something is happening.
The body responsible for regional cricket has also taken notice.
We're very, very excited about the investment by the government of St. Kitts into Warner Park.
Wycliffe Dave Cameron is the president of the West Indies Cricket Board. The president and members of the board held an executive meeting at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort last December, the first time such an event was held in the Federation. While here, the team braved inclement weather to tour the upgrades being done to the park.
They have said to us that when completed, this facility, when the lights on, will almost be as good as daylight. And so we want to test that. And so hopefully one of these day-night matches, as early as February, March, will be played in the facility. And I can assure you that going forward, St. Kitts continues to be one of our major grounds in the region.
We may be small, We may appear to be insignificant to some, but definitely extremely significant in the impression and the legacy that we are leaving.
That legacy will ultimately impact the nation's youth, and the policymakers are keenly aware of encouraging opportunities for young people.
I would like to say that the investment here is an investment in the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. The government has seen it fit for us to put ourselves or place ourselves on the pinnacle in terms of sporting excellence. And so what we want to do is to give our athletes the impetus to compete against anyone.
We believe must be able to feel comfortable that they can compete with the rest of the world in international cricket, and do so from right home here in St. Kitts and Nevis, rather than going off to England or Australia or to New Zealand or to Sri Lanka, but to do it right here in St. Kitts and Nevis and do it well.
And so this now is supposed to be able to complement and to put now some pressure now on both the St. Kitts and Nevis Cricket Associations, where they now have to come up with creative ways to maximize the benefits. The government is responsible for infrastructure here. They're not responsible for governance of sports. The government builds the facilities, whether it is a football facility, cricket facility, basketball facility. It's now for the administrators who are supported by the National Olympic Committee of St. Kitts and Nevis to be able to up their game. We cannot fall behind. The government has an investment. The government has to get returns on the investment. Everybody have to come on the same common ground and understand what is the vision.
We want to congratulate the government of St. Kitts for the work that they've done and continue to do. And I think St. Kitts Nevis continues to take cricket and cricket development and cricket playing very, very seriously, and we applaud them. The facility that we saw, or the building, the making of it is second to none, and we look forward to playing inside the facility very, very soon.
What they can expect is a state-of-the-art multimedia type facility where you have your jumbotron. We are trying to increase the fan experience. A matter of fact, we are trying to remodel the party stand. We are doing all sorts of things to enhance the experience here.
And so the ambience itself now at Warner Park will be more like a party-like atmosphere. And what you want is that when cricketers and spectators come to the Warner Park Test venue, they're supposed to be just saying, wow. You really want to wow them so that you know that they're going to come back the next time, and they must also feel that intimacy of being part of a cricket game.
A matter of fact, it's not only will be used for cricket. There's a school of thought that we can use, because we have a jumbotron, we can use here maybe for Super Bowl, NBA finals, whatever we think that the public would like us to, or request us to do, we can now do those things. And so in terms of it, it's not just a cricket facility, but we have made it into a multi-purpose facility, which really is a turnkey solution.
The future is bright. I feel very, very confident that the future is bright. Why? Because we are investing today for that future. And if people and the leadership does not have the vision, then of course the people perish. That's why I believe that with the investment we are making today, as a result of the vision that we have, our people must have, will have, positively have, confidently will have a brighter future as a result of the undertakings we are making.